Everybody has the same mentality here, which I love. And then the other thing is no one, hides their secrets, right? You can ask anybody how to do what they've done, and they'll just tell you, boom, boom, boom.
Today's True Talk guest is Ty Cook. Ty comes from the solar industry. He joined Family First Life in 2022, but this past year in 2024, tripled his volume, over 630,000 sold through the month of November.
You can have whatever goal you want. It's good. I think it's good to think big. If you don't tell me how you're going to do that, then it's unrealistic. So if you're a new agent and you say, "Hey Ty, I want to be Hall of Fame." Like, okay, so what's your game plan to do that?
January 1, Ty's agency had one individual that sold 10,000. This past month, his group collectively has sold over 300,000 with over 25 agents that got paid. Dude, you qualified for Cancun?
I did.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You ever been?
Yes. So
Yeah.
for my honeymoon, and then we went. I won when I was doing solar.
Okay.
I won an incentive trip there too.
Oh, so dude, I guess if there's a Cancun trip,
is
you're
a
gonna win it
go-to,
then, dude.
yeah.
This is your third time, dude. That's awesome. You like Cancun? Were you excited about going there a third time?
Oh yeah. I do like Cabo.
Yeah.
I've been to Cabo
Okay.
a time or two. So if I had to pick, I'd pick Cabo. But I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say no to
Yeah, you're not
a
gonna give it
free
back,
Cancun
right.
trip. Yeah.
You bringing your daughter?
No.
Okay. Nice
no,
little
no,
break.
no.
Yeah. Well,
Just the wife.
She's what, 6?
Yeah.
It's at that age where it's like it's cool to bring, but also you could not bring her.
Right. Yeah. No. We'll have someone watch her.
Yeah. Cool. I want to take you to qualify for Cancun.
I guess qualified like 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay.
I wasn't even like tracking.
You didn't even know,
I was just I got tagged on Instagram.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, cool.
Nice.
I'm going.
Nice. You've been with us since 22, right?
Yep.
So look at your numbers, dude. 204 your first year,
Yep.
personal.
Yep.
Last year, 227.
Yep.
Then this year, 630 so
Yep.
far through
Yeah.
November.
Yeah.
What the hell happened? Like, it's like, just two, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, three times what you
Yeah.
sold. What happened this year?
So, a couple of things. The first year was all in home, so it was like
Okay.
learning a new skill. I was the second year I was gearing up for a big year, and
Yep.
then we switched to virtual.
Oh, okay.
And so I kind of like went right back to there was like a month or two where I did nothing, did
Really?
like 10K to just learn virtual.
Yeah.
Now this year we had virtual down, and then we just started building. So we implemented some things with our leads, and then
Yep.
started building. And I've noticed when you build, you're forced to produce and you're forced to help other agents. And so I think just building, growing from 2-3 agents in January to now we're sitting, we had like 20 something writing last month.
Yeah.
And plenty of more in the pipeline. Like that's forced me to just lead from the front. So
Got it. Why didn't you recruit your first 2 years or your first year?
I did.
You did.
I
Okay.
did. So first year recruited, but we were doing the whole in-home stuff. So
Yeah.
the guys that I recruited, they just couldn't. It was just hard for them to duplicate.
Oh, okay. Because
And then
where you were.
Yeah, and then I was just running in the field, so that was my priority. Year 2, I did hire some others, and we thought we were heading the right direction. Then it just wasn't for them.
Yeah.
And then this year found the right people, and it seems like once you start winning, and that snowball that wheel is going, it's really hard to slow down. So we've gotten blessed, lucky, but I think it's just 2 years of hard work.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing those results.
Absolutely. That's the thing about recruiting is it's almost like we're spoiled with the sales here because it's so instant, right?
Right.
Like especially nowadays, you all sit down, you do it all over the phone, virtual.
Oh, yeah.
And like you're paid the next day. The
Right.
client's covered in the moment. Like
Right.
there's no wait. Back in the day, you're talking even simplified issue a week or two before you're covered.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read this stat here. It says that your agency in January of this year,
Yeah.
you had one person at 10K.
Yep.
One.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this past month in November, you guys have over 25 writers,
Yep.
and you issued over 300K.
Yep.
Dude, in 11 months.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been
People are like, oh, it's going to take me forever to build this. That's not forever, dude.
right.
It's 11 months.
Yeah.
It's a couple months longer than it takes to make a baby.
That's true.
You know? Now you're back.
Takes a few seconds to make a baby.
That's true, yeah. Correct. Now your background's non-insurance, right?
Right.
What did you know about life insurance before you joined us?
Oh, I never even thought about it.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
You sold solar.
Yeah.
Did you do any sales prior to that?
No, well, so I there were some times where I did solar. I did some phone sales for like a business funding company.
Yeah.
But most of my sales career was in solar.
Got it.
Yep.
Did you go to college?
Not really.
No.
Well, dropped out. It was
you
like
did?
just a community college, business degree. Thought I wanted to be a dentist, and then after that first
Really?
year, realizing like I don't want to do school forever.
Yeah.
And then I just ran with
Why
the
dentist?
door-to-door stuff because they make money.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So my I guess there's they make money, but the real
right.
answer
There's other
is
jobs that make money.
yeah. No, so like growing up, my parents super hardworking. I grew up with both parents.
Yeah.
My dad was in the home building industry
Okay.
in Texas.
Yeah.
And I'll be 30 this month. So when I was 13, 14, 08 hit. So 2008 hit. So the housing market.
I was in the same business at that time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So brutal. So just seeing, we were struggling for a good year and a half.
Yeah.
In and out of work because the market.
Was your dad a business owner? Or do you work for someone?
No. So he's like a superintendent for a residential home builder.
Okay.
So when they're not building houses, he doesn't have work. Right.
Yeah.
So seeing that, we were struggling with money. I look to, okay, when I get older, I don't want to struggle. I look to people who had money, and, my grandpa was an orthodontist.
Okay.
A few of my uncles were dentists, orthodontists. So in my mind, I attached, all right, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
These guys are doing okay, or at least it seemed. That's what I want to do.
Got it.
So it's purely just, money motivated, but just wanted to be able to provide. So.
And dude, that was an interesting time. Like that was a year before I got my insurance license. I was building homes. We had a company I worked with, had a remodeling crew, a framing crew. We had all kinds of work, all these and then, mortgage market crashed. Months later, the building market, all the home builders were just like out of work.
Oh yeah.
We did a few $1 million in contracts that just stopped. And it's like, well, what do we do? I actually met Sean that next year. And then, I guess the rest is history.
Yeah.
But you were only 13.
Right.
Any siblings or just you?
Yeah, so I'm the oldest of 4.
Okay. Ooh, what'd your mom do?
Well, when it was like when I was 13, I had like a 3-4-year-old brother. So she was most of the time she was in the home. Yeah. But then once he got to kindergarten, she went and did like substitute teaching.
Got it.
Worked out of daycare.
Your dad was the breadwinner.
Dad was the breadwinner. Yep.
Dude, you remember what that was like?
Yeah, it was. So my dad, I think he was out of work, and he's not a like he is one of the hardest working dudes I know.
Yeah.
So he was trying to work, but I think he was out of a job for like an actual salary job. He was out of work for like 13 months.
Wow.
So he was just doing side jobs, kind of side contractor stuff. Thank goodness for my grandpa has a farm in Texas, so he would basically that summer, I don't know, 7th, 8th grade. It was like my dad took me and my brothers to the farm, and my grandpa, we'd work weeks and weeks and weeks. That's our summer, right? We're like, we're not hanging out with our friends. Like we're working on the farm, right? And so my grandpa, paid us to do that. Probably, I'm sure he paid my dad a little extra just for the situation. But I think that definitely set me up.
Yeah. Well, think about those life lessons. I mean, all of this, right? You're 13. Yeah. This happens to the market. I mean, you don't expect. You're 13 years old.
No, yeah.
And then you see your dad has been working his ass off for your whole life, providing, and now he's struggling to do that. Yep. And then you're also getting this lesson of hard work. Yep. I never worked. We had no farms, but when I was a kid, I worked construction. Like before, it wasn't legal. But I was out there 12 years old on a damn 40-foot ladder painting. Like my brother had a business. But it's like you learn hard work. Right. And it's like, I don't know about you, but now, you're recruiting agents, training them. Mm-hmm. So when you hear people like, I worked so hard today, Ty, you're like, dude, you dialed the phone from your house. Shut up. Yeah. Stop.
Yeah, it's not hard.
This ain't out at the farm at, 5 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, all day.
Was it a dairy farm?
No, it's just like they got an orchard, corn, some cattle. But, it's Texas. So most of what we were doing was just like mowing the grass as a 13-year-old. Like you're just
baking in the sun.
Baking in the sun, pruning trees, picking berries, all that stuff. So
yeah, exactly what you wanted to do for your summer vacation, right? Yeah. Yep. But I'm like, I never forget that, dude. Even like sometimes coming here, it's a lot. It's almost 30 staff, a big company of agents. But I'm like, I drive here sometimes in the morning and I see dudes up on the roof. And I'm like, it's like 20 degrees out. I know what that's like. That sucks.
That's hard work. Yeah.
That's hard work. Yeah. Calling people all day. It has its moments. Right. But it beats that.
No.
And I'm sure, like you, I don't know about you. Do you remember this, like that time at the farm when you ever think about this being too much?
Just at the farm, like working at the farm. I mean, it was more of like, I mean, manual labor is one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, I can do it. Like, clip these trees,
right.
Mow this grass, right? It's like whatever, but it's just not wanting to be there.
Yeah.
And there's definitely times where you're like, you know, maybe we're carrying logs, you know, just cut up a massive tree carrying logs. It's like, oh, this sucks. But it's a different hard, and it's just like, I think in those times, because we didn't stop even after my dad got a job, like things were just still, there was good several years to like recover after 08 for everybody.
Right, yeah, it's not just fixed once you get a job,
it wasn't just like one summer. So we continued to work, and eventually, like I think after that first summer, it's like, Dad, we don't want to go, we want to hang out with our friends, and then you know, then it just becomes, hey, this is something we do. You know, don't complain about it. Like, this is just what we do. And then hindsight as an adult now, it's like, man, I'm super grateful for that. Cause you see people, I hire people all the time. And like, what's the hardest thing you've done? Probably college. And I'm like,
like, oh boy,
partying and half-assing it at class. That was the hardest thing.
Right. Yeah. So you started college, want to get a business degree.
Yep.
How long did that last?
I stayed with it because I was like, I need to I was taught to like, hey, if you start something, finish something, right? Just work hard, don't quit. And so, you know, I continue to do it online while I'm knocking doors. So I'm like knocking doors, selling solar, making, you know, six figures. So best year in solar, I'd made like 190.
Okay.
You know?
And you're still in college.
Right. Like just doing classes. Online, so I literally, I remember.
How'd you even get hooked up with solar?
So I had a buddy who, you know, basically, you know, he had this motto of summer sales, right?
Okay.
And basically we're a bunch of college kids, mostly guys, just go out for a summer job to, you know, at that time it was in California. So we'd go out to Fresno, California. You know, they get you, they're like, hey, we knock doors, but we make, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 in a summer knocking doors. And so, you know, 21 years old,
you're like, whatever.
I'm like, well, if I can make 100,000, if I can make 30,000, that's better than Chick-fil-A. You know, my high school job, I worked at Chick-fil-A.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, okay, so if I can do that, so he flew me out, and they're really good at recruiting because, I mean, he flew me out. He's like, hey, we're going to knock these doors, and if I get a sale, I'll split it with you. So I'm just following this guy around all day, knocking doors in Fresno, California, which is not great. No offense to anybody from Fresno, but he sold a deal. I was like, was it good? What happened? He's like, yeah, dude, $1,500. We're splitting it. And so I was like hooked.
Wow.
And so continued to do that, you know, and realized like, okay, that's when I realized, okay, you don't just have to go to school to be a dentist or an engineer or law school. Like, you can do sales.
Right.
And so
what'd your dad think?
They've always been supportive. Mom and dad, super, super grateful because they're like, hey, as long as, you know, you're happy, you're making money, like, we'll support you no matter what. So I've been super fortunate with that.
Got it. So was was it just a summer deal? What'd you do after the summer?
So that first summer, yes. And then, you know, went back, just, you know, I actually didn't continue with door to door. I was like, hey, knocking doors was great. I made like 20 grand my first summer. And I was like, cool, that was better than a normal job, but I don't want to knock doors again. So I went and got a like inside sales, but I knew sales was it, right? So I got an inside sales job at this funding company. Basically calling business owners who actually, looking back, same concept. They'd fill out a lead form. We'd call them, say, hey, this is Tide. You know, you sent in a request for business funding. And I was like a setter there, right? Setting appointments, right? Then realized that wasn't it, and then went back to solar. My buddy, that same buddy I knocked doors with, he had a...
What was it, just the money or...
Yeah, just the money. And it was still kind of like a 9 to 5, right? The other sales job. And he called me. It was perfect timing. He's like, hey, you know, I want you to come out to our Colorado office. He had established kind of a team. He had about 20, 30 reps in Colorado. He's like, hey, I need a closer. You have solar experience. I just need you to run appointments and come help me build this team. So that's when I came out to Colorado 2019.
Okay. So you weren't door knocking. They had appointments set?
I would do some door knocking. But most of it, because I could close, was just going up to appointments, which I loved. But it was driving all across Colorado. You know, if I was in Denver and there was a same day set down in Pueblo, which is like 2.5 hours, it's like, all right, I'm going.
Wow.
So it was a lot of chasing, a lot of long hours still.
Yeah. From there, how did you end up here?
Yeah, so did well in solar, and then stuff happened in 2020, right?
Okay.
And the supply chain issues from that kind of made the solar. It kind of set the solar industry in a. There was always like we all call it the solar coaster, right? Because there's ups and downs, but this definitely threw a wrench in it. And so it was 2021, end of 2021. We were waiting on installs, and we don't get paid, right? So if I sell you solar, they pay me a little bit up front.
Yeah.
But then it's going to take your home 3 months, 6 months in Colorado to get installed because it's a construction project.
Yeah.
Permitting, engineering, all that stuff. So we weren't getting paid is the short answer.
Okay.
Right. We knew deals were in the pipeline, but it was November 2021.
So prior to 2020, when everything was good, you come to my house, you sell me solar. How long did it take you to get paid?
So let's say I sell you a system, I'd probably get 500 to 750, 2 weeks after I sold you. So if I sold you today, I'd get a, $500, $1,000 maybe, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And then 3 months from now, you'd get installed and I'd get paid about $2,000.
Okay. And that was typical back then, 3 months.
Pretty normal in Colorado at least.
In Colorado.
Yep.
And then in 2020, so not so much of like, the world being shut down from like you guys weren't essential, were you?
Well, no, we were definitely shut down. So yeah, that was part of it
so
too.
that was part of it.
Yeah.
But then anything you had already sold is now delayed because of the supply chain.
Yeah, delayed. Yeah, I guess thinking back, we couldn't knock doors for like 2 months.
Okay.
So yeah, there was a lot going on.
Got it.
Yeah.
So first initial 2 month hit, but then now you're back knocking.
Yep, we're good.
But you can't get installs because supply chain issues.
Yeah, it's like okay, it's just unpredictable and it was out of my control.
Yeah.
That's what I didn't like. It was out of my control. There was one project. Even after I started insurance, it took them 1.5 years to install this project. The guy was pissed, but I was in insurance at the time, so I was like, "I'm sorry, dude. This is taking forever." But
if my math is right, your daughter was 2 at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that would have been exactly.
Wow. So you're married, 2-year-old, and I mean, it's one thing, you're 22, you're 25 by yourself, running around, you drive it, but now you got a daughter to support and you're married. When did you guys get married?
We got married 2016.
Okay.
Yep. So we got married pretty young and then had our daughter in 2018.
Yeah.
And so solar was great because I was like, man, I made it. I was 24, making, 6 figures, wife, daughter, I'm good. Yeah. And then that's when, the 2020 hit and kind of course corrected, right?
Now, did you start looking? How did you end up here?
Yeah. So, again, I don't like to quit things. I kind of barreled through it it wasn't until 2021, like November, when it just I was like, okay, enough is enough. I went into debt to try to keep up with stuff and then listened to a podcast that Sean was on, Sean Mike, and it talked about you could sell a policy today, get paid by Wednesday, 2 days to get paid.
Also, right time for you to hear that.
And I was like, bing, 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 bing. So, that was the biggest thing for me.
How'd you end up on the podcast? Were you looking for insurance? You just online looking for anything? Or
Well, so he was on a sales, there was a big sales podcast, business podcast that I listened to pretty regularly.
Oh, so you already listened to that, and then Sean just happened to be on.
Yep, gotcha. So I'm listening to it every day at the gym, and then, I'm with my buddy, at the gym, and I see this, podcast, drop, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, dude, and he was in solar with me. I'm like, dude, these people are getting paid within 2 days. I'm like, we have to do this now. And plus, it was like November, December, which in solar, that's holidays. It's snowing in Colorado, so we were already headed into like a kind of a deader season. So I'm like, we can't keep this up. So it was right time, right place, perfect timing leading into 2022. Yeah.
And didn't you originally reached out to a different group who you're not with,
and they didn't reach back out. No.
Dude.
So follow up with your leads is the
seriously, especially your recruiting leads. God.
Yeah.
And then you went and found Zach and Easton on your own.
Yeah. So coming from sales, there were certain benefits of being with like a top guy. So at my, when I worked in solar, I kind of rubbed shoulders with the top dogs, the guys who sold a lot, big teams, the regionals. But I wasn't as tight with them.
Okay.
And I saw other guys who were, whether it's special treatment or not, it's like you're still close to the guy who's making it happen. You want to rub shoulders with the best guy. So when we did insurance, I was like, okay, if I work with someone, they have to be good. And so I searched Family First Life, and I think it was on like Facebook or Instagram. Family First Life, Colorado. Zach Twardowski popped up. Easton Patton popped up. And I'm just going, this was back when everybody was posting their numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm going back and seeing Easton doing like 20 to 30K weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, does this mean, based on the podcast that I listened to, he's making 25,000, 30,000 like a week, or selling that much a week? Like, this can't be real. And then I found Zach, started listening to Andrew Taylor's podcast, started listening to all his stuff, right? And just hearing all these success stories. I was like, wow, like these people are making real money.
Yeah.
And then my thought process was, all right, Zach he was at the time the youngest integrity partner to ever do it. So I'm like, okay, well, he's the man, but he's also kind of built his thing. This guy, Easton, cowboy from Montana, seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's in it, like he's selling and building. So I was like, okay, I want to rub shoulders with Zach, but it seems like Easton is in it. So I reached out to him directly. And then really the rest is history. I wasn't a hard sell at all. I was like, hey, Easton, I've been listening to all these trainings and podcasts. I want to start with FFL.
Yeah.
And then, he was in Colorado Springs where I lived at the time. And so met him, went to that.
He's in like the same town.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
That's crazy,
insane.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Zach was in Denver. So I'm like,
you just got a knack for being at the right place at the right. I guess
right.
like you just happen to be listening to this podcast that Sean's on, like as you're not getting paid. And they're talking about getting paid quick.
Perfect. And then you go work with like two of the guys.
He's like lives down the street
best
from
to
you.
do it. Yeah. Yeah. So I was super fortunate.
Go to the casino with you, dude. You just got good luck. Oh shit. So how you just hit it off with them right off the bat?
Yeah, so I didn't really get to know Zach that much because I was in Springs, but Easton, he just opened his new office.
Yep.
So new agent, he's like, hey, come to our opening. I literally passed the test that morning, went there, and actually Sean Mike was there. And I'm like, I've seen his stuff, and I'm like, wow, this guy's scary. Shook his hand, and everything. He doesn't remember me, but
I bet he remembers you now.
Yeah, he'll remember. Yeah. Now it makes sense. So yeah, from there, I basically knew that Easton had done about 940 that prior year. So it's like, all right, Easton, whatever you tell me to do, I will do it, and that's really what had led to the success.
What was the transition like? Because I mean, you've sold door to door, you sold off of or booked appointments off of leads, so it's kind of like you had a perfect setup. How was that transition? Was it quick?
Yeah. So the skill part, I caught on pretty quick because I knew how to like sell people. There was a slight adjustment. Well, actually, to be honest, the first 2 weeks I got kicked in the teeth. Didn't sell a single policy.
What was the biggest thing you were doing wrong?
Activity.
Really?
Yeah. So it wasn't like put me in front of someone in their home. I had done that for years. I feel pretty good, but it was the activity. I just wasn't doing enough. So I was, as John Wetmore says, are you taking all day to dial, or are you actually dialing all day?
Right.
And so I was at the office from 7 to 7
Yeah.
on Mondays and Thursdays to dial. But I was maybe hitting 200 dials,
really
setting a few appointments, and then just like kind of winging it. So,
why?
I don't know. It just I thought skill and experience. I had a little bit of ego. I'm like, okay, well, if these guys can do it, of course I can. I have all this in-home experience.
Right. And you made money in sales already.
Right. So, I was humbled a little bit those first few months. And it was like, it took me about a month to kind of see, some success. I think I did like 15, 16 my first month. So it wasn't the worst.
Yeah.
But then, I got on the mortgage leads, Easton, basically when I started, got on internet leads.
Yeah.
And then Easton was like, hey, as soon as you can go out to Omaha, Nebraska, I got 40 mortgage leads for you. I'll give them to you, and you just have to take over the order. Remember those automated orders? Yeah. So he just threw me into the fire.
So you're in Colorado, you're in Denver.
Yep.
And then how far is Omaha, Nebraska from Denver?
So when I flew, it was like just quick hour and a half, but I'd usually drive because I wanted to have my car. So it was like 8 hours.
8-hour drive.
Yep. And because there was Zach, Zach's team was already in Denver, there was no mortgage leads.
Right.
Right. And so, yes, I could have worked the internet leads, but, I was like, hey, I'll pay more for a really, really solid chance at closing. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to Omaha, Nebraska.
So how often would you go to Nebraska?
Like every other week.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many appointments would you set before you left?
So that's the other part of it. So there were times for like my first 4 months where, again, I just thought my skill could just like strong arm, you know. And so, dude, there's sometimes I'd drive out without any appointments.
Oh, my God.
And I'd literally say, all right, when I get there, I'm going to book appointments.
Yeah.
And sometimes it would go my way where I'd book 20 appointments over the next 2 days.
Yeah.
You know, close, 10, 15,000 in business. There were other days I'd get out there and I'd set 4 appointments, and then it was just door knocking. So I'd drive all the way out to Omaha, Nebraska, just to door knock. And it was all self-inflicted.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And so it wasn't until that summer, so about like 5-6 months, I had some big months, some down months, it just wasn't consistent. So it wasn't until that summer.
You're still riding the solar coaster here, huh?
Yeah. The solar coaster continued. So I started listening to a lot of John Wetmore's training.
Yeah.
And he talked about just tracking your metrics, actually doing more, taking all day to dial or dialing all day. And I started implementing that. And then it just, like, I think June or July, a switch just flipped to where I was actually doing the activity. I was triple dialing the leads.
Yeah.
I was relentless. I'd call someone, 10 times throughout the day just to get them to answer. I'd door knock him. Like, I was doing the activity, and then naturally that led to, 20, 30, 40, 1,000 AP months.
Yep.
Right. So
that
was all self-inflicted.
That was in your first year?
Yeah. So
yeah.
Got it. Because I finished the year just above two
yeah,
something.
It was 204.
204. So yeah, those first like 6 months were just me not really doing it,
Okay. So you did most of this in the last half of the year.
Yeah.
Got it.
Hit a stride that summer.
Yeah. Yep. So you catch some momentum, and then we switched to virtual, right? How was that transition for you?
It was so almost a distraction at first, and it took me, like, I mean, you got to think, I'm with Easton. Easton was also reluctant. Because he's $1 million guy.
Right.
Like, he's changing his whole dynamic. So I started that year, 2023. January I did 40. February I did 40. I'm like, this is my Hall of Fame year. And then Easton's like, hey, I think we got to go virtual. And so I was reluctant, but I had hired some guys, that were brand new. Yeah. And so I was still like, I'd be at the office in the morning, do some virtual, but then I'd go run appointments in the afternoon, close a couple policies, come back the next day. So I was doing well, but my guys were not, because they were staying at the office trying to figure out virtual. And so
you're sneaking out making sales.
Well, they were like, okay, you already know in-home. You can sell 30, 40K. We're brand new. We don't want to learn in-home and learn. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And then it was April, I think April of 2023, where we were both like, hey, we got to, me and Easton were like, hey, we got to cut cold turkey. Like, we got to figure this virtual thing out. And it was brutal. Like, it took me like 2 months to figure out what leads I liked best for virtual. Tried a few different things. Just it was tough. It was a tough transition. Wow.
So you sold about 80 your first 2 months combined.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I mean, 220 is still over 200K.
Right. I figured it out.
But you sold 80 there, so then you kind of had a dip and then figured it out towards the end of the year?
Yeah. Like, thinking about it now, it's like I had year one twice.
Yeah.
It's like in-home year one, first couple quarters you're figuring out, and then you skyrocket.
Right.
Year two, first couple quarters virtual, figure it out, skyrocket.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's why this year, like, we haven't done anything different.
Yeah.
We just know what to do.
Are you still selling a lot of mortgages, IULs? What are you doing?
A lot of mortgage and just a lot of life. We'll do some vet leads and stuff.
Yeah.
My personal favorite is mortgage. I did I did some IUL stuff. I just couldn't. It just wasn't quite for me. Maybe in the future.
Yeah.
That's the push.
Let's just try that the fourth year, Ty. Yeah. We don't want to have 3 year ones.
I don't
well, you
want
did.
that.
You're over 6. What's your end goal? I mean, we're in November. It's 1 month left. What do you think you're going to finish at?
I might crack 7.
Yeah.
What is it at today?
630 as of November.
Yeah, I'm definitely pushing for 7 because I'm trying to do 300 as a team.
Yeah.
So if I can carry 60, 70 of that, then
absolutely
that'll be good.
That's awesome. And then from a recruiting standpoint, we mentioned this earlier. January of this year, 1 agent at 10K.
Yeah.
Now 25 issuing over around 300K, which you're shooting for that again in December. What changed from a recruiting standpoint this year?
Yeah, so there's a lot of power in, just having one good agent. So really, I can't take all the credit. kind of my right-hand man, Jesse Wagner, the no sales experience. He's going to do Hall of Fame his first year.
Okay.
As he was producing, and this is a guy that, his first 4 months, in the business did like 32,000 in annual premium. And then his 5th month, he did like 34 in the 5th month alone.
Okay.
So when that pop happened, I didn't just sit back and be like, oh, these overrides are cool.
Yeah.
I took Zach's advice, Easton's advice, Sean's advice, and just reinvested everything into the business. So in March, I started paying a recruiting company like 5 G's a month. Yeah. So all, commissions, override, everything put back in the business. And then, we just started spending money. So the same concept that, we spend money on leads to sell. I started spending money on leads to recruit, and just, having the in-office culture for us. We don't have any, we got a couple virtual agents that aren't in Denver, but everybody we hired is local. And so when that, when we have a group of 5 new agents start, getting them in the office, getting them on the phones, if they're struggling to close a deal, I can close there. That's been able to propel us faster because, everybody's winning together. Right?
Yeah. It's almost like the opposite of how it was when we started this company, because we couldn't we recruited somewhat local, but like you mentioned earlier with the leads, there's only so many leads.
Exactly.
So we would recruit, all over the country, and we'd connect virtually.
Yep.
And we kind of turned into that company. But now with virtual, it's now the opposite again.
Yeah.
You can recruit everybody local because you can get a license in any state in the country and sell anywhere from your home. So it doesn't matter where the leads are anymore.
Yep.
It's just, crazy how the business evolves. And it's like, you're kind of a testament to either evolve with it or you get left behind.
Right.
Yep. We got some, I think they're little fun segments here, Ty. So I got one here. It's just true or false, simple rules, right? Okay. So I'm going to throw out just 10 statements at you, and you're going to let me know if they're, in your mind, true or false, okay? Oof. So, it's no right or wrong answer, but, I guess we'll let people watch and determine that. So are you ready?
Ready.
Number 1. Term life insurance is a waste of money because there's no cash value.
False.
If you can't find leads in your zip code, this opportunity will not work for you.
Can't find leads. False.
It is impossible to get affordable life insurance with pre-existing health conditions.
False.
Selling door-to-door is harder than buying leads.
True. Yeah, we'll say it's true.
Top producers don't go through rejection.
False.
Buying life insurance early locks in lower premiums for life.
True.
Most life insurance policies won't cover you if you have cancer.
Most. Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. True.
Agents should rely on cold calling to find leads.
False.
If your employer offers life insurance, you still need to own a private policy.
True, but max that sucker out.
Absolutely. Yeah, take what they'll give you. If you are selling a lot with us, you do not need to attend the FFL annual convention.
False.
You've been to how many conventions?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Was there one that, which one stands out to you as most impactful?
I love the Dallas one.
Last year, yeah.
Because that was right when we were, 2 agents, that was right there. Yeah. And so I had already geared up. I was like, this is what we're going to do. And then that just reinforced it going to that convention. And I loved hearing the speakers were like David Goggins, Barbara, she was great. Shannon Sharp, all the speakers are great. Yeah. It was a good one.
How many people are you bringing with you this year or next year?
Yeah. So, should be about 20.
20. Yeah.
There might be a handful that can't make it, but we're trying to get everybody there. Yeah. So we should have about 20.
And that's key. It's like a guy said this years ago. Build your business event to event. And what he means by that is look at how many people you have there last year.
Yep.
And look at what your team's doing now, right?
Yeah.
And what a big proponent to what you can achieve next year. It will hinge on how many people you bring to this event,
right?
Because it does the work that you don't have time to do. You can train, you recruit, but it's like you get all that in a couple days.
Right.
It speeds up that learning curve.
Right. Then they're not hearing me yap. Yeah. We do 2 trainings a day at the office, Monday through Friday. So they've heard me play.
They've heard you enough, yeah.
We can let other people drop some knowledge on them and reinforce.
That's what Sean just says. Y'all hear me all the time. Yeah. Go to the event so you can hear other people.
Yes. Yeah.
And it just it validates the model, validates what we do. Yeah. But it also, you mentioned rubbing shoulders with the top guys, and this is the best time, the best opportunity for anyone to do that.
Right.
Like, you'll see John Wetmore walking through the people. I mean, I don't care. Anybody watching, I guarantee you go up to John and go, hey, dude, I got a question for you. How'd you get from here to here? What's a piece, like, they will talk to you.
Yeah, if you come prepped. You can't just say, hey, what's your best one piece of advice? It's
right, don't do that.
Like, I mean, that's not a bad question, but, like, I've been telling, our team, hey, go with, like, a list of questions, like, and people that you're looking to learn from. And just actually make it impactful. Yeah.
That's the beauty about now. Like, back, dude, it's funny, when your dad was going through that hardship, I was getting my insurance license back then. So you're 13, I'm getting licensed.
That's crazy.
Dude.
Yeah.
Like, we had sheets of paper and we'd go to these events, like, who's this guy? Now you got, like, you can find someone online, podcast, ours, Andrew's, anyone's. And have a list.
Yeah.
I need to talk to these 10 people, and here's what I need to ask each and every one of them.
Yep.
And they'll share it with you.
And everybody's an open book.
Absolutely.
So one of the biggest things, two things actually, when I first started was everybody has the same mentality here, which I love. No one's negative. No one's if I say, hey, I want to build a $10 million agency, no one's gonna say, you're not gonna do that. Like, everyone's like, I'm gonna do it with you, or I'm rooting for you. And then the other thing is no one hides their secrets, right? There's no secrets, right? It's like you can ask anybody how to do what they've done, and they'll just tell you, boom, boom, boom. So
absolutely.
It's a cheat code.
Did you ever go to events like that in solar?
They didn't really have them.
No. Didn't. Okay.
Maybe like once a year they'd have a little, summit type deal. There was some leadership stuff, but not as.
Were people as open about what they were doing there, or no?
I think to a degree, yes, but it wasn't like structured in a way. They were more like, go to the corporate office. Hey guys, this is what we're doing with the panels and this year.
Yeah.
This new app that we have. So it was less like tactical stuff.
Got it.
And more of like, this is what we're doing to help installs, because that was the big issue, right? Was the installs.
Right. And I've heard people, that were in real estate and other industries that have these events, and what I've heard, and Sean was in real estate for years. It's the opposite. You go there like, hey Ty, what are you doing? You're like, don't ask me.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just working hard. You know, like,
yeah.
Like, dude, what am I going to go to your area and steal your clients?
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
There's plenty of clients out there.
No, the training is insane.
Yeah. So we have another segment here, Ty, called Ask the Agent. So I got a handful of questions, and we would like kind of same thing. Like, I don't have people on the podcast that aren't good at what they do, because that would be counterproductive, right? Like, hey, tell me about what you want to sell, or tell me what you used to sell, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You have slow days, right? Like, you don't always go out and close everyone you sit with.
Yeah.
How do you motivate yourself on those days where maybe you don't have enough appointments, or maybe you didn't make any sales? How do you stay motivated?
Yeah. So, I have slow days. I have slow weeks.
Yeah.
I think there was the week before Thanksgiving, didn't sell a single thing.
Really?
Yeah.
This past Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
So you sold, you're on track to hit 700K.
Yeah.
It's like, what if I struggle? No, not when. How about when you struggle, right?
Yeah. So the mentality is like, so I get excited, right? Because I'm like, all right, this week sucked. I'm due for a massive week. And the week after, I submitted like 17,000.
Yeah.
So it's just part of the game.
Yeah.
So if you're not expecting it, then you're gonna be down. But if I just know, well, all right, I blank today, so tomorrow I'll probably sell 4. Yeah, that's the mentality.
Got it.
Yep.
But this one you went a whole week. Was it no sale? The week before Thanksgiving? What did you do?
Nothing.
Nothing. Not one sale.
Zero.
How many people did you meet with?
Probably 10, 15, just weird stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And so I got no-showed a ton. That was part of it. Which for me, when I get no-showed, there's always something to do with the agents. So I definitely get distracted. But just no-showed.
Yeah.
Misses, maybe I was probably off. Something was going on.
Yeah. Did you do anything to course correct, or did you just, hey, I'm just going to stay the course and it'll work itself out?
Yeah. The best thing you could do to course correct is just show up the next day like the day before didn't even happen.
Right.
That's the course correction.
Yeah.
You don't need to change your script if you've sold before.
Right.
If you haven't sold before, work on stuff. But if you've sold before, don't change the script. Don't, reinvent the wheel. Just show up the next day, and then it'll fall in your favor.
I used to watch a lot of baseball because I was a big Yankees fan, and I'm a big Derek Jeter guy.
Yeah.
And I remember one year, and I was young. I was probably 10, 12 years old, but it it was one of the times in the year where he's going through a slump, right? You watch baseball, like they all go through it.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, it was an extended streak, and all of everyone, oh, he's falling apart, this thing. One of the announcers, like, guys, like, the end of the year, Jeter's going to be at 300.
Yeah.
Like, this is what happens. Like, I promise you this, that when the season's done, his batting average will be somewhere around 300.
Yeah.
And sure as shit, he finished at like 314 that year. Like, it works itself out. You just stay the course.
Yep.
You know, and it's the same thing here. Just stay the course.
Yep.
How do you help agents set realistic goals when still aim for significant growth, right? Like, because goal settings is huge, and I think sometimes people set unrealistic goals, knowing they're not going to hit them, and it's almost easier to deal with that failure, right? Like, I'm going to sell $2 million this year. You're like, dude, you've never sold a policy. Relax, like. But you also don't want, hey, Ty, I'm going to sell 150. No, dude. Like, so how do you help them set realistic goals?
Yeah, so you can have whatever goal you want. It's good. I think it's good to think big.
Yep.
But if you don't tell me how you're going to do that, then it's unrealistic. So if you're a new agent and you say, hey Ty, I want to be Hall of Fame. I'm like, okay, so what's your game plan to do that? And people are fortunate now because it's the path is set. Like you got to sell 33,333 a month, and you do that by running, or presenting, 15 to 20 times a week.
Yep.
And spending about $1,500 to $2,000 a week on leads. Like, that's it. So if you don't tell me those answers, then I'm like, well, if you don't have a game plan, then I don't know how you're going to do it.
Right.
Now, if someone is brand new and they say, hey, I want to sell $1 million and they haven't sold a policy, it's like, love it.
Right.
Let's get to your first 200, 300. If you can do that in, 2-3 months, let's go.
Yeah.
But let's go there first.
Right? I like that. Let's break it down a little bit. Let's get on that pace first before we go, sell 2 million. Like,
and not to, again, but I never want to, cloud someone's ability to think big. So for example, one of our agents, Jesse, remember, he was really bad at the beginning. Everyone's bad at the beginning, but Jesse was really bad, and he'll say it.
Yeah. We're going to have him out here.
So in March, he had just hit, his first 4 or 5 months in the business, because he started last November. He did like 30-something thousand. In March, he did, 30,000 that month alone. In March, he bet me. He said, hey, if I do Hall of Fame, so he was at like 40,000 for the year.
Yeah.
If I do Hall of Fame this year, will you buy me a Rolex? He did a Hall of Fame this year.
Nice.
Right. And I took that bet.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that is crazy.
Yeah.
But if you can do it, you deserve it.
Absolutely.
And he just crossed 400 this month, December.
That's awesome.
So
well, congratulations.
Did
you give him the Rolex yet?
It's on its way.
It's on its way.
Yeah. So
well, after he gets the Rolex, we need to have him come up and do a podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Here's the last one. What's the best way to approach a client who has been burned by a previous insurance agent?
Previous client been burned. I always respond, hey, Mike, good thing, I got a hold of you. I've been doing this a while. We have all these carriers. I'm going to help you find the best plan. No BS. I'm a straight shooter. Whatever you're looking for, I'll help you get. And if I can't help you get it, I'll tell you, and we'll get you coverage in place for your family. So I'm the guy.
Yeah.
I'll help you out.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like, it happens in this business.
All the time.
Unfortunately, or sometimes fortunately for us, there's a lot of agents that do this the wrong way.
Yep.
Right. It's almost like, I wish it was a little harder to get an insurance license sometimes.
Right.
For some.
Yeah.
Because it's a very low entry point.
Yeah.
And you think about businesses that, I don't know what it's like in solar, but there's other businesses where you're going to pay, a few hundred, maybe $1,000 just to sign up.
Right. Yeah.
Here, like, you don't pay a shit. You just get your insurance license.
Get the license.
And we pay for the course. So matter of fact, we're paying for you.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, it's even just nice to have that, like, hey, listen, I'm sure you were burned in the past. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad agents out there.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them.
Yep.
You know?
Here's my card. I'm the ugly guy on the left with my wife and daughter. That's my license number. Look me up if you need to. I did all the fingerprinting, but all those things. And then people can tell.
Oh, yeah.
People can tell if you sound good on the phones. They can tell you're an expert.
Yep.
They'll trust you.
Absolutely. What we do is a big deal. Sometimes I think we get caught up in the day-to-day, the appointments, the dials, or this or that. But at the end of the day, we're selling life insurance,
Right.
something that everybody needs and everybody will use. I mean, we see just recently the CEO of a big health insurance company. I mean, that's insane.
Insane.
So it's like, why I bring that up? Because especially us as guys, a lot of times we think like it ain't gonna happen to us.
Yeah.
Dude, it can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone.
Yeah.
You know, the guy who, you know, is working at the factory down the road, the guy who's the CEO of a big company, the guy in between, the mom who stays home with the kid, anybody.
Yep.
You've had some death claims, right?
Yep.
How did you handle the first one? Because you sold solar before.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody
Yeah.
dies. I mean, like it's solar.
Yeah.
You know, yes, you help people save money on their bills, sure.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's a transaction. I mean, it's like
Right.
a lot of guys in our company sold cars before. It's like, hey, if I don't buy this I drove here in a car. It still runs.
Yeah.
If I don't buy this car, dude, my life will be fine.
I got a car. Yeah.
Our clients don't buy life insurance. There's a good chance that they're going to die with no coverage.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So your first one, what was that like to, you know, did you get a call, email? How'd you find out?
Yeah, I got a call from the son.
Okay.
And it was crazy because it was when you're running in-home appointments, it's, you know, my first full year, it's crazy because you're in their house, you're at their table, you're on their couch. Like I remember.
Yes.
That's like me leaving here and then hearing some bad news. Like we're right here. Right. So when the son called, at first I'm like, okay, who is this? And then it hits me. It was
comes back to you,
it was like 2 months ago.
Yep.
Right. At the time, you know, this was my first year. 2 months prior, I had met with that family, and I'm just like dang, I didn't think, you know, it was going to be that quick. So it definitely hits home. And then, you know, I do what I promised. I just say, okay, I'm going to call a carrier right away. We're going to file a claim, necessary paperwork, whatever is needed. They'll take care of you. Because all the death claims I've got when a beneficiary reaches out, I mean, you could just tell they're going through it.
Absolutely.
And so you want to be as quick as, you know, it's just like no BS and no messing around, you know. I almost don't even ask, like, how are they doing? We know they're not doing great.
Exactly. Hey, my dad, how you doing, bud? Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I apologize for your loss. I totally understand. You guys don't have to worry about a thing. I'm going to call the carrier right now, hang up the phone, call the carrier, get it done. So. And
how's that feel like, or what's the feeling like when you get it done? You know, you get the check delivered, sent to them, like.
Yeah, it's just like in solar, it's like, oh, cool, you got some panels. They look ugly or good depending on your opinion.
Right.
But it's like, all right, cool. This is like, oh wow, without that, like they'd be scrambling right now.
Absolutely.
They'd be absolutely scrambling. Like I couldn't imagine the thoughts if they didn't have the coverage. So it's everything. And it definitely, especially, you know, not personally, but within our office, there's been agents that, you know, they write a policy 1 week and then the next week that client passes away. That's just, I mean, everybody, you can tell when those things happen in an office or at all, like it hits home and it reminds us like, wow, this is super important. It's super, super real. It can happen to any one of us.
Right.
Right. So
absolutely.
It is a good reminder of like, yes, the money's great, but really what we're doing is we're saving families.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's bittersweet because it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
It's not a good feeling that this individual passed, but obviously the policy had no, you know, impact on that. That's going to happen regardless. Yeah. But just knowing that you were in a situation where you could have helped them and you also could have screwed it up, right? Right. And you did your job, and now this family, the one thing they don't have to worry about right now is the finances.
Yep.
It doesn't bring his dad back. I mean, but they don't have to worry about how is this getting paid or what's going to happen to the house after this, you know, which is a big deal.
Yeah, big time.
Last thing, what's life like now with 6-year-old daughter, wife stay home? She work?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she stays home.
That's a handful. What's it like now? Like, how do you balance that with work? Because you're working your ass off. You're building a big business.
Yeah.
But how do you balance the two?
Yeah, and I'm still 6 days a week at the office. Like, we've grown this year, but we're not even close to where we want to be. So I definitely have, you know, taken that instead of staying at the office till 8 or 9 p.m., you know, I'll try to be home by 6, you know, for dinner, hang out with the daughter. I definitely never miss, you know, those important, like my daughter's dance recitals, her soccer games, you know, I'm definitely not missing that. But I'm just now getting to the point where there's a little bit of balance because this isn't, you know, 2-3 years, you know, make a couple 100,000, a few 100,000 and be set. Like
right.
this is a 5 to 10 year plus play where like I'm trying to change, you know, the trajectory of my family's life. So, which I'm super, super grateful to have my wife. You know, she's super supportive.
Yeah.
Sure, there's times where she wants me home, but at the end of the day too, it's like our goals are aligned. You know, we're going to build this thing. So when people say balance, you know, in the traditional sense, like, there's still no balance, but you know, we're making it work and we're progressing. That's all.
I think when people hear balance, they think 50-50.
Right.
That's not necessarily.
No.
The balance is whatever you're going to make it be.
Yeah.
But what you said was so key. You don't miss dance recitals. You don't miss.
Right.
So it's quality over quantity time.
Yep.
It's like, dude, when people are broke, dude, their parents are home all the time.
Right.
They're right there on the couch doing nothing.
Yeah. You're like no. We don't need quantity time all the time. Yes, quantity is good in certain cases, but like quality is better.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, I wasn't there for it, dude, every night, everything, but I was there at my daughter's dance recitals, her first basketball games, my son's stuff. But maybe I missed some homework nights and some other stuff. But you know what? I think that's true balance, right?
Agreed.
And I'm sure, and in the long run, it's kind of like, you think back to what you learned watching your dad do what he did, the stuff he's gone through. Your kids will learn in the long. I'm sure there'll be times where they want daddy home. Like, I got 4 kids. I know exactly. Yeah. But in the long run, they'll appreciate you going out and doing this so they can have the things that they want and need.
Yeah, Dad always worked hard so that we can. And it's funny. My daughter even knows, like, we'll say prayers, as a family, and she'll say, hope. Please bless that Daddy will make a lot of money. So
she's smart.
So she has already seen, like, Dad works to make money so that, she could have her big girl bed or her doll, so she's already learning that stuff. And that's the best thing we could do for our kids is teach them good habits, good work ethic.
Absolutely. So. Well, I appreciate you coming up, doing this, and everything you're doing, man. It's awesome. Validating the model. Keep kicking ass.
Okay.
Can't wait to see you at convention. This will be your first Hall of Fame.
First Hall of Fame.
Nice. You get your jacket this year?
Yep, jacket.
That's awesome.
And then next year, pushing for that agency Hall of Fame. Yep,
love it.
That's the
good
goal.
Stuff, dude. Well, FFLconvention.com. Go there now to get registered. Get your room block. Room block will be up soon. So it's like, I know every time I talk, I'm going, Mike. It's in a few months. I got that. Yeah. But the room block will be up. You will pay more for your room at the Westin if you don't get it now. We have no control over that. It's only limited to a certain time. So, and you'll save, I think, over the course of the few days, you'll save like $500 on your room. So
I'll have to go lock it in.
Lock it in, dude. It's leads right there.
Lock it in.
So FFLconvention.com. Get registered now. We hope we see you all in Irving, Texas.
See you there.
You'll be back home, dude.
Oh, yeah.
But I appreciate you coming up, dude. I don't take that lightly, you guys, especially this time of year, working your ass off, trying to hit these goals. But I appreciate you coming, taking the day out, and joining us here. So
anytime, my pleasure.
Absolutely. Let everybody know where to follow you on social.
Instagram, Ty, so Ty, middle name Jeffrey, Jeffrey, Cook, Cook, Ty Jeffrey Cook.
There you go. All right, Ty, thanks for coming out, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you next week right here on True Talk.